You're listening to Materials Business, the podcast where engineering, leadership, and innovation meet diversity and inclusion. Hosted by Monica Hernandez, engineer, entrepreneur, and industry advocate. When we embrace different perspectives, we create stronger industries, smarter solutions, and lasting impact. Now, let's dive in.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when are you watching us, and thank you for being part of the material business community. My name is Monica Hernandez, and I am your host, and I have Andrew. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Monica. Thank you.
So we're going to talk about really cool things because Andrew gets technical people, but he also sees the business side, and he has that ability to mix both together. So this is going to be a really good conversation if you're navigating that transition, or if you're climbing up on the ladder, or if you want to have more ideas. And behind the scenes, we were talking, and I think you really want to get from this podcast something that we speak here a lot, and is how you can mix those both. It's not two different personalities, but how can you mix that and make your career successful? So let's just dive in. Andrew, tell us, who are you?
Who am I? Such a good question, Monica. Thanks. Well, right now I'm an executive coach, and I also do some fractional chief technology officer work. And that looks like sometimes I am working one-on-one with people as an executive coach, and then other times it becomes a little bit more consulting. It might be around organizational development or helping solve larger people issues. My background is really in running IT teams and running IT organizations. So I was a chief technology officer at a global financial investment company for quite a while. And before that, I was in different roles, one of which was technical product manager. And I've also done some consulting in my background. So I kind of grew up through my career in the IT and engineering space, and then transitioned into founding and starting my own business.
Congratulations. It takes a
Thank you.
lot of, I know it takes a lot of effort, but it's very rewarding. Congrats. Andrew, you have worked with a lot of technical folks. What is one of the things that you see a lot of the struggles, or maybe not struggles, but the hurdles that technical folks need to face day to day, or they are doing, like they need to overcome?
One of the really, really common things that I see over and over, and I lived this myself for a really long time, is this sort of constant giving of ourselves and our time. And what's really hard about this is it's kind of the right thing to do, right? You want to help, you want to support people, you want to go the extra mile, you want to do the work and do it well every time. But what happens is we go a little too far and we start to sacrifice ourselves and our own well-being, and then we get depleted. So one of the things I see a lot of is pretty much everyone is somewhere on a burnout spectrum. They're approaching it, they're getting closer, they're somewhere in the spectrum of burnout. And the other thing is people are incredibly busy, and it's not always productive. So busy, not equal to productive.
I love that. Busy is definitely not productive. And you made me think. I'm going to tell you a story here. Probably, I don't know, 13, 14 years ago, I was leading a team, and then we had one of those 360 managerial things with my team. And then there is this one young engineer that worked with me, and then he said to me, "Oh my God, I admire you so much. You seem busy all the time with your little." I always have, my notepads. Anyone that works with me knows that I have like 5 of them all the time. So I'm with my notepad and then running from meeting to meeting and being busy all the time and then busy, busy. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is horrible. Like he said it, no, he didn't meant that. He said it as a compliment. But to me, it was like a really wake up call of how am I living? And if that's the perception of someone that it's on my team, I don't want that perception to be true of who I am.
Yeah. It can be uncomfortable when you realize whether you like it or not, you're a role model.
Absolutely.
Everyone coming out of college, getting their first job, their first few years in, like it or not, they're looking up to you and they're going to model how they work. They're going to
Absolutely.
model themselves, from how you're doing things.
So how is someone that is listening to this episode and they think like, yeah, I'm busy all the time. Yeah, I am, I don't know if I'm on the spectrum of burnout or not, but I feel tired. No matter how many hours of sleep I get, I'm always tired. So what are other symptoms? Because I can tell you, I haven't gone, I think I went through burnout, but we didn't have that ability to call it that, right? So it's like you go in, you go out, I don't know how. And then you keep on going and then your health breaks, right? So if someone is listening to this episode and they are like asking questions to themselves, what is some of those questions that they need to be asking themselves to say, okay, yeah, I need to do something different?
Let's separate out good busy and good work, good productivity, good busy from sort of pointless and unproductive busy. So if you think of something you really like to do and you spend a lot of time doing it, it feels good. It feels good to put in a lot of work. And as engineers, that's where we go. That's kind of our special place, is to really go deep into something we're really passionate about. And if you notice that, maybe it's something outside of work. Maybe it's running, maybe it's cycling, maybe it's hiking, maybe it's fixing something. You know, you don't think about it in terms of rushing, racing to get it done. You don't really think about it in terms of it being painful or you being busy. Let's apply that to work. So as you're going from meeting to meeting, you're bringing your notebook, and Monica's busy, right? You know how that feels. And if it's good, you're pushing a really important project you care a lot about, it might even be energizing. But when it's not, and it just feels like you're holding on, you're just trying to get to the end of the day, you're thinking about going home, you're already exhausted on Tuesday or Wednesday, then it's time to regroup a little bit and ask yourself, what am I doing? What's really going on here? Am I actually doing meaningful work that I care about? Or am I just doing what everyone else wants me to do? Because that's where you really kind of have to make your own decision there and tune into what you're experiencing.
And that's a very powerful way of saying it. Is this really meaningful? And is this really what I want? So those two questions I think are the basis of what is going to come. Do I really still love this? And I read a report one time that studied productivity and all that at work. And then you don't really need to love everything that you do. Like, I mean, I'm sure you don't love everything that you do as an entrepreneur either. But you have to have those nuggets of this is really what I love doing it.
You really need to understand what you're doing in service for the bigger thing that you do love. Like, I don't love having to go through my calendar and find meeting times at work for, everyone else and all of that. And of course, there are tools that can help you with that. But I know that I can keep it in perspective. It's in service of the bigger thing that I do love and that I am passionate about. Um, I think the other piece of this, Monica, is that people need to feel in their workday, they need to feel empowered to make decisions and to not just constantly support everyone else. So you identify whether or not, maybe you're over serving or over giving of yourself. And you also need to feel like it's okay to block my time. It's okay to say no to meetings. It's okay to let someone else do some work, even if it's not the way I would do it.
That's huge.
Huge. You have to give yourself permission, you know?
So what I'm hearing is that the first person you need to ask is yourself. And often, and we were talking about before we hit recording, often we go outside to find answers. And then, especially as technical people, we like to have confirmations and checkpoints and QCs and all that. So how do we pass that point?
It's there. It's already there. And you're already doing it in a lot of ways. And I think it's maybe a muscle that gets a little unused. And we go into a workplace, it has an existing culture, it has an existing subculture where the real decisions get made under the radar. There are things that happen around us and to us, but your intuition and that sense of right and wrong and what's good for you and what the right way is, it just gets a little weakened because there's so much structure around us. If you're, every day you have a stack of meetings and you have deliverables and your manager wants something and your skip level manager wants something and your direct reports want, it gets complicated. But your intuition for what you need and what you want more of and what you want less of, you just need to start tuning into it a little bit more and kind of giving it permission to kind of come out. It's there. It's really just a matter of tuning into it a little bit more.
How do we tune into it?
Yeah, it's such a good question. Such a good question. And I think that that's the ongoing work for everyone. It's ongoing work for me. I mean, you don't perfect it. You don't arrive somewhere. Maybe it's a life journey is getting more and more tuned in to the things that you want and actually paying attention to it and honoring it. And I'll give you a really, really simplistic answer, which is block time on your calendar when you're the most productive. So for a lot of engineers, especially let's say in software and tech, it might be late at night. And that might be easier because you don't have people scheduling meetings and all that. For some other people, if you get into the office early in the morning, don't start your day with everybody else's meetings, especially if they're often in a different time zone. You have people maybe that are on the East Coast or whatever who want to meet with you. It's already 10 a.m. their time. Where are you? Block that time. Block your most productive time for the things you want to be working on. Because in everybody's job, there's something strategic, something more important, more impactful that looks out 6 months, 12 months, a year that you probably should be working on and will be the thing that moves your career and gives you more opportunities. So, anyway, the most tactical maneuver here really is to protect your time for the things that are important to you.
Yeah, your time is your most valuable asset.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a really good tip. I think we can all do it. Like I think myself as an entrepreneur as like, and that's something that I do, right? I intentionally block times to do a BD, for example, or reach out to contacts, or that's the time that I do that. And then this is the time where I write the newsletters, or this is the time that I do a technical revisions, or this. So intentionally, and I highlight that intentionally going and fixing the way of your day and your week and your month and your year, then it's going to pay off because you already have like a predictive outcome. As engineers, we like to have everything, structured in a spreadsheet and all that, and we don't structure our own career or our own days or weeks. Or so this is a really good tip, and I think it's very actionable and easy because we already do it.
Did you go through a phase where you were trying to do those things and you were kind of saying, "Hey, I just need to do that tomorrow. I just need to do it. I just need to do it." And then it wasn't happening and you realized, well, my best time to work on that is here and I need to protect that time. Did you go through something like that?
Absolutely. And I love, by the way, when the guests ask me questions.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think we all go through that. And is that when, in my case, for example, the things that I don't do and then often get delayed are the things that I don't like doing. And then that I find someone else do it for me. And then I just outsource that part and it's done. So I think this is a good way of for me to realize what is the things that really I'm really good at. And then I, like you said, it can be 3 days, none sleep, no eating, no nothing doing, and I'll be like energized at the end of the third day. And things that take 15 minutes and I'm drained after doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I'll add to that is sometimes, so if you actually have direct reports on your team, sometimes those things that really drain you and you're tired of doing, a lot of times we think, I'm going to protect my team, so I'm going to keep doing that thing. But but the flip side of that is it might be something that really energizes them and it gives them something that is maybe a little more visible. Maybe it's a status report. Like most engineers don't like having to do a status report, right? But you might have someone on your team where they feel like, hey, I'm getting to do something with more visibility, it's higher level, my manager trusts me. So a lot of these things we hold on to, we should not be holding on to. We should be letting go of them and letting someone else have the opportunity to maybe even do it better.
Absolutely. Especially the young people that have so many ideas. Like a lot of the improvements in our company have happened by listening to the people that are different from me in every aspect, right?
Right.
So then they're not female, they're not, and it's like, oh my God, this is so cool. Yeah, I can't do it, but thank you for volunteering. And they'll be really pumped because it is giving them opportunity. So now we are talking to the leaders out there. So if you're a leader, and maybe go through your list of what is it that you like the least, and then think of the people that you can outsource that to within your team or outside of your team, and then that will liberate time for you to start creating those things that you really are passionate about.
Right.
It is really easy to say that, Andrew. How can we get there? How can you say, okay, let's I'll say, Andrew, you do this for me because I don't really like it. It's easy say it. How do you get there?
Well, first, what I would do is change the way you're going to talk about that task. It doesn't need your interpretation or your judgment of it, because if it's needed and it's useful, there's some purpose. Like, management needs a status on this. They want it every 2 weeks. They want this, this, and this in it, and it gets looked at by a lot of people. There's value to it, and just because you're tired of doing it and you don't like doing it, you don't need to pass that on.
That's a really good tip.
Delegating something to me, it probably makes more sense to say, "Hey, Andrew, there's something that I want to see if you're interested in taking off my plate. It would help me a lot, and it would give you more visibility and an opportunity to see how things work at a different level. And here's what it is."
Mm-hmm.
So, it might sound like selling it, but what it is it's actually being a little bit more objective and a little bit more fair about it, because it has value.
Absolutely.
So I think that's one part of it, but you know, we also need to know really clearly ourselves and what you just talked about this, what motivates and demotivates us. So if there are things that you don't like to do, maybe some of them you have to do, but you should know what those are. It's a great place to start. Like, go write down the 25 things you don't like to do or that you're tired of doing, and at least know what those are.
That's important. And that brings me to the thoughts here. The first one is knowing ourselves. And I think we are not really, nobody really taught us how to. And probably it's just because it's a journey like you were describing at the beginning. Uh, that's the reason why my company is called Infinity Growth, because I really, that's my inner belief that we come here to learn and to pass on learning, right? So it's something that doesn't finish. It's nothing that we accomplish. It's not, the top of the mountain to get to. It's like, how do we get, and then which routes do we take and all that. But knowing ourselves in a busy environment, it's not that easy. So knowing ourselves for someone that is already tired, maybe it just starts with something simple. And I loved what you said is list everything that you're doing. Because sometimes we are tired, but we don't know about what. Like, what is making us tired? What is making us bored? What is making us, like, what is the real problem? Until we really identify it. So making the list. And again, we are good at making lists. Like everyone here does Excel, right? Or open a chat and then just say it onto Teams and then you'll have a transcription or whatever it is. But making a list of everything that you do, then that will be the way of really understanding which are the things that are boring or not as exciting as they should be. Because you said it really importantly. It's not that it's not important. It is important. We need it. We need a report. It's just that you're bored of doing it.
Yeah. 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 I mean, you're bringing up a really, really interesting point, which is there are a million small ways to get a little closer to what you want. And the truth is exactly what you said. There's no there's no course in college where there's sort of like get to know yourself. It- maybe there's one in philosophy. I don't know. But for most of us, we weren't in that class. And turns out that a lot of people who have had some difficulties, maybe they were out of work for a while, they had some challenges. A lot of times those people are forced to get to know themselves a little bit better and what they really want. So an idea would be, let's not wait for that. Let's not wait until maybe we have some kind of challenge or a health challenge, or we go through burnout, or we go through layoff, whatever it is, to finally do the introspection and the work. Let's not wait for that. Let's ask ourselves right now, why did I go to college to be an engineer in the first place? Just to get a job? Or is there something actually really interesting in here? Is it really cool to look around the whole world, everything around me, and see how humans have engineered a desk, a microphone, a laptop, a monitor? Like, it's kind of cool, right? So find that. Where's that energy, and where is it in what you're doing today and tomorrow and the next day? Don't wait until you collapse from exhaustion. Now is the best time to start to understand that.
It's important, and I think it is important to really, and for anything, like if you're going for a job, you need to really know yourself. Mm. If you're going for do a pitch for your company, you want a client, you need to know yourself and your company. You need to really go by those values and then put them on the table. But it all starts with that knowing. So I really love what you said. Like, why did you get really started on that path? So now it's my turn to ask you, why did you pivot?
So good. So good. Well, there were a couple drivers here for me. I actually did go through a pretty severe burnout. So I just like a lot of people, I was running a big team and I was doing all the things. I was running around meetings all day and was driving home at night and wondering if I did anything useful during the day. And um, I didn't check in with myself. I didn't set boundaries. I didn't, you know, ask myself why I got into this. I didn't do any of those things. And I went into, and I didn't even know this at the moment, but I went into a pretty severe burnout. And I kept wondering, like, why, what's happening? I just need to get up earlier. I just need to work later. I just need to work through another weekend. And it's kind of a knee jerk reaction to things. It got worse to the point where I had to do the work and come to get out of it. I had to say, what am I doing? What do I want? What do I not want? A lot of the things we just talked about. And what I came to was working with people is the thing that I always really, really enjoyed. And throughout my whole career, a lot of the nuance that I figured out was that I always liked being able to translate the technology to the business and translate the business to technology. It was all about understanding people and being able to communicate and build bridges. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out where I wanted to go next and what would be both fulfilling and challenging. And I had talked to some people that had gone into coaching and were executive coaches where they were leveraging their background and bringing that into a new role. And that was really, really appealing to me. I didn't want to just completely pivot away. I wanted to use my background and my experience for the next thing. And so, it took a while to really build up the courage, but I put in my notice and left and went right into an executive coaching certification program. So there's a lot there and there's a lot more, but I made a lot of the mistakes that I try to help people avoid.
I always have that question, and it's sometimes when you go through phases like that, thank you for your vulnerability and sharing that with the audience. I think many of our listeners will deeply connect with the words that you just said. But when you're going through phases like that, sometimes, like you described, you don't really understand the signals. And I said that because it happened to me, right? And I was physically ill to the point that it was really, really bad. And so you don't want to get to the point, but reflecting back is like, how did I get here? And I was like, I didn't have any signals. And at the time I said that, right? This came out of, like, I talked to the doctors and like, this came out of the blue. And it's nothing like that.
Right.
Now, like older and wiser, I can say it's nothing like that. It is all signals all the time that you, it's like when you go to these operation rooms in the field and they have that bleeping button
Mm,
that signals that something is wrong in the field. And then the operators just put a sticky note on it because that sensor is always bad. It's giving us bad readings all the time. So we just ignore it. I was like, oh my God, is that going to explode or something? So same thing, right? Is you choose not to.
and looking back, the signals are always there. They're always there. And I will say things like, I didn't know. And I think literally in the moment, I didn't know I knew something was going on, something wasn't right, but what it was and what it was called and the impact of it and the seriousness of it and how to get out of it, I had no clue. I had no idea. I mean, a lot of us then we're sort of, maybe it's an ingrained thing with humans, a lot of our response is just to try harder. And that kind of a lot of times that will dig the hole deeper for you, make it just harder to get out of it.
Yeah. Or digging a hole to fill the other hole and then digging more holes. And then there's always a hole somewhere. This is very, very interesting, Andrew. And I think there is a lot of really gold nuggets that I think our audience are benefiting right now from listening, because it's not just pretending. There's two people that have gone through severe phases of transformation, but not without consequences. And this is what we are telling you guys. You don't need to go through that. You can start doing your work beforehand so you don't have to go through that severe experience to get to listen.
I do a lot of work with emotional intelligence with my clients. I use one of the emotional intelligence assessments and we go through and we do a long process of debriefing on that. And the reason that I do this, especially with engineers, is for the reason that we just talked about, which is the more that you can learn to tune in to what you're experiencing and not be sort of just at the whim of it, to not be a victim of getting angry every 20 minutes, to not be a victim of being jealous all the time, to be able to see it and know what's going on, what the causes are, and knowing it will pass. Emotions become another set of data. You've got your hard data, your spreadsheet, your metrics, all of that. And you look at it and you go, okay, looks pretty good, but something about it is bothering me. What is that? Something in my gut. And it's being able to kind of pause and say, something doesn't feel right. What is it? That's data. That's something giving you pause. It's intuition. We could call it a bunch of different things, but a lot of it has to do with the ability to kind of pause and take in some data that you have access to. You just kind of have to pause just enough to let it in. And so a lot of what we've been talking about here is this sort of deeper tuning into yourselves, which takes, like we said, takes a journey, takes a lifetime.
We are almost at the end, but I don't want to go before asking what are those tools, like some of those tools that you use to tune in to yourself? And maybe we can give tips to the audience on how can they start.
Well, I want to emphasize this um, practice that I mentioned earlier, and that is, I'll say it like this: protect your time. So this is, you hear this word boundaries. Most people, it just kind of goes in one ear and out the other. But protect your time. So this might be the most important thing you could do day in, day out. Includes weekends. If you're an early person, get up early, do the thing that's meaningful for you and honor it. And don't just wake up and get right on your phone, get right on email, get right on Slack, whatever it is. Leave your phone on do not disturb, protect your mindset, protect. So that's one thing. And a different tool that is incredibly simple and incredibly powerful is journaling. And it doesn't matter what you write. It doesn't matter some fancy prompt. You don't need anything other than cheap notebook and a pen. And give yourself 15 minutes when you're experiencing anything or you want to, get to know how you're interpreting events or if you're worried about something or regretting something, just write it down. Probably for a return on investment, basically free. It's probably the most powerful way of getting to understand your own wants, your dislikes, all of those things.
I love that. That's why I have so many books. Andrew, thank you so much. Let's do one last message for the audience.
Well, I think one of the things that most of your listeners are probably benefiting from is all of the perspectives that they're hearing. And it can be really, really hard when day in, day out, you're working in a role and you're around a certain group of people. It's difficult to keep getting new perspectives and everything. So, one thing that I would encourage people to do is to find me on LinkedIn and just reach out and say hello. I love to meet new people. I'm constantly having conversations with people. I do a lot of coaching just to help people understand, where they are and where they're at, help them get a little kind of taste for what coaching really is and how it can help them. So stay as much as you can connected to new and different perspectives.
I love that. The last question: why should people listen to the Material Business Podcast?
Well, I'm gonna answer that with a little bit of what I just mentioned, but what I want to say is for connection. A lot of us are working remotely or working from home. Sometimes you do go into an office, but there aren't that many people there. We all need more connection. And so I think that might be the most important part of all this.
And we have, just to a reminder to the audience, we have a global audience. We have guests from all over the world. And then if you watch the episodes on YouTube, you have the closed caption feature where you can put any language translation. So anyone can listen to this episode and then put the subtitles in Mandarin or Arabic or Spanish or whatever their preference language is. So that is a cool feature to be able to access information.
Great.
Andrew, thank you so much. I loved our conversation. I'm sure our audience has been loving this too. So, nothing but thank you. Thank you for everything that you shared, but all the really, really good tips that we are giving people. And we don't want you guys to get sick or anything. So please, 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 please protect yourselves and get to know yourself and work for what is that really is important for you.
Thanks, Monica. It's great to be here.
Nice to meet you. Okay. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Materials Business Podcast. Feel free to visit infinitygrowth.ca to see show notes and explore other episodes. If there's someone you think should hear this episode, please share with them. Take care of yourself and have a great rest of your day.